Hello everyone and welcome back to another Babbling Irons video. Today with myself, Mike and Sloth, giving you our end of season awards. I think it's time we did a roundup of the season. We've got 5 awards to give out, some a little bit different to normal awards, some of them on brand with what you would normally see. But yeah, it's been an up and down season, lads, pretty turbulent. Before we get into the awards and the breakdown of who we're going to crown each of them, summary of the season, feelings towards it. How did it go in your eyes?
Glad it's over.
Yeah, disappointing. There's a lot we can go into and say about it, but I think that overall it's just a case of it started really well and showed our true colours in terms of the ownership with a lack of ambition, and I think it hit us hard. So
Yeah.
We're not even going to touch on the immediate feelings of the end of the season because that's it's all a bit too raw, isn't it, lads?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, did it feel like a long season, or do you think it went quite fast?
Long,
right?
Very long. I kind of said from the start, even when we were getting the results, that I don't enjoy watching us play. There's been some I feel it's been fleeting this season when I've actually enjoyed watching us.
I think there's been 2 periods, hasn't there? There was the first like 4 games where we were unbeaten, 10 points from 4 games, top of the league after playing Luton on a Friday. And then that period in December where we got like 4 on the spin, like beat Arsenal, Spurs, United, Wolves. Those were really the 2 moments. And then I guess you could say when we were, playing Bayer Leverkusen. But other than that, it just felt very long-winded. I don't know. It's just it's been a very strange season. But yeah, as you say, glad to see the back of it. And yeah, now's our time to recap, hand out the Babbling Awards as we are going to do. First one, nice and easy. Best win of the season. So again, there's 4 main options here. If there's another one or a different one from this, feel free to say it. I think 4 options: Brighton away towards the beginning, obviously beating Arsenal away and Spurs away in December, and that Freiburg win at home when we were 1-0 down in Europa League for the second leg. I think those were the standouts. A couple of others like Chelsea at home towards the beginning as well. I think we beat Brentford 4-2 as well, and we played pretty well that game. So, what you guys voting for the best win of the season?
My head says Freiburg, but my heart, with every fibre and being, says beating Arsenal 2-0 and then seeing the tears at the end of the season because they didn't get enough points.
Yeah,
is the one. It really is the one. Just those tears. They were just, and they expected us to get a result against City, morons, and begging for us. And they were disrespectful to us the entire season about Declan Rice, about West Ham, about the club. And then they came cup in hand with a love of butter in one hand, going, please, can you just go and insert yourself to Man City and win, please? We love you. Oh, you're such a great team. You have such great history. Fuck them. I'm so glad we lost that game, and I am so glad that we beat them 2-0. And their tears have been beautiful to savour for all of London and for the English league, because they would have been utterly unbearable if they'd have won the league. And I'm glad they lost it to Man City. I'm so glad.
I think as soon as I start to feel any sort of, it's a shame. It's a shame. If there's ever any inkling of doubt in my mind about whether I wanted City to win the title or not, I just think back of that clip where there's the 2 blokes either side of the table, and you're nothing club, and I just think that's everything wrong. Everything wrong with modern football is that sort of opinion of like just deriding a club and everything with it. But also, I just think of how they treated Arsene Wenger. I wouldn't.
Mate,
I wouldn't remiss them never winning a title again.
That's the thing that I find the most hilarious part is banging on about us with because obviously Declan Rice, and because we won't look like we're going to beat City, then saying about how we're treated. Moyes is disrespectful because he won us a cup. Dude was with you for 25 years in Wenger, banging out cups like nobody's business, and look how you treated him, you morons. So it's I'm with Sloth on that bit.
I think for me, just to this Arsenal result is definitely one of the sweetest, I think. But the Brighton one as well, I think, just starting the season so positively, but also getting
Breaking
one over on our bogey team, yeah. And I think it's also very satisfying to see that across the course of the season, De Zerbi has you know, he was so heavily lauded, and I think, look, we're part of the problem, I suppose, in a lot of people's opinion. But, you know, the football tacticos online talking about just how, De Zerbi's got Brighton doing this, and isn't it incredible? And it's like, no, there's a big flaw there to be exploited. And I think it was quite satisfying to see David Moyes, the masterclass himself, go away and just dismantle them completely.
He's had enough chances of trying, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. That was a good win, though. Yeah, that was a very good win. And I think if it was like best performance of the season, it would probably be the Freiburg win, because we just played so well in that game. Yeah. But yeah, I think Arsenal away, man, you can't. Even Spurs away, we absolutely shit house that 2-1, didn't we? It was really a snatch and grab.
First one was just disrespectful in the end, wasn't it? How we won it was just completely disrespectful. And again, the Arsenal one, it's not all fans. It's that small cluster of entitled
socials, isn't it?
Yeah. Those entirely entitled fans that are caught with utter disrespect for any football club, and it's those fans that make you then, when a team loses something like a title, when it was there for the taking. As a rival fan, I think you savour it because it's for those fans. It's the genuine fans that you feel sorry for, but that you just then, out of spite, love those instances when you beat them and when you stop them and prevent them from winning.
I also think that Arsenal win is the best win of the season because of the circumstances as well, because we had no sense, like Ogbonna came in randomly. We had Mavropanos at the back, who wasn't our starter at the time. So we were going into it with basically our third and fourth centre-back, and then Paqueta came off after about 15 minutes. He got injured in the warm-up to start with. And again, it was nice. Again, Mavropanos getting a goal against his former club. It was just a really good win. And I think, we don't notoriously do very well against Arsenal away. So, I think we're pretty much on agreement with that one. So, on the contrast, worst moment of the season, there's quite a few to pick from here. So, there might be one that I haven't listed on here, but I've got the 5-0 Fulham defeat. We've got the 6-0 Arsenal defeat at home. We've got going out to Bristol City in the replay and the Ben Rama red card. We've got the Bayer Leverkusen defeat away, those 2 late goals, and the Newcastle capitulation where we were 3-1 up and, going towards a really strong position in the league and just absolutely crumbled when Calvin Phillips come on. So, what would you pick out of those? Or is there? I didn't even include Palace. I didn't include Chelsea because I just didn't really care about them towards that stage of the season. I think there's been worse moments. But what's your worst moment of the season if you had to pick one?
Sorry, Calvin Phillips.
I think that normally I would choose one of the humiliations where it's like 6-0. But I think that having been a West Ham fan for as long as I have, I expect at least one a season. So I'm never really like that surprised when it's, especially if it's against like Arsenal. It's I kind of expect one a season, and maybe you can call me negative
though, at home.
Yeah, but
we've seen Man City smash us 6-0 at home.
Yeah.
Roger the Relegator running backwards and falling on his arse. I know that was away from home, but we've seen that stuff.
But I think that it's one of those where I'm annoyed, but I think when you are 3-1 up and we looked
comfortable and dangerous.
Well, I wouldn't say comfortable because we did concede a lot of chances, but we had all the warning signs. Like we had all the warning signs that it was like, no, this is what we need to do. We just need to shore things up a little bit. And then capitulated. And I think that is the most frustrating one for me, because if you just think about what could have been, then I don't personally think the 6-0 changed anything in terms of the course of the season. I don't think the 5-0 did as well, because let's face it, we had quite a lot of injuries, and there was a few people out with a sick bug.
Oh yeah.
So I think the way we capitulated, I think that was embarrassing. And I should be used to that as well. West Ham throwing away a 3-1 lead, but you know, it was so annoying.
3-1 lead to 10 men as well. Like, we were. I think I'm with Frankie. I felt we were in control. There were warning signs, and there were, you know, moments to be. Hang on, we need to be a bit careful here and take the sting out of the game, try and control possession. But again, David Moyes, who said he was averse to risk, ultimately played the most risky way you can play football throughout the entire season, of just going, we'll let them have the ball and we'll just sit and bunker in like an Alabama tick. And and that was it. That was our tactic for most of the season. We'll try and hit him on the break every now and then, but ultimately we did that. It was probably the most high-risk football you can ever ask for, because if you're going to give the possession to an opposition with that much regularity, you are asking for problems. And that Newcastle game, I think, was the epitome of West Ham. We played a couple of brilliant moments, looked threatening, but ultimately we were poor in possession.
Yeah,
didn't read the signs and
suffered.
Paid
the price.
I just think with the Arsenal one, if Rice hadn't have scored as well, I think it would have, like, I wouldn't have cared as much. I wouldn't have it as consideration for the worst moment. But
I don't care about Rice anymore.
I think that for me, that was the worst moment of the season.
I left that stadium and I left it, I think, about 4-0 towards the end. So I didn't even see the goal. I just you know what? I was numb in that game. It was just, as the goals went in, it got to a point I was just laughing. I was just numb in the end. So by the time I'd left, which I was 4-0, I think, for about the 70th minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the only thing that makes that game worse was the fact that I was sitting there with my dad and he turned around and went, I can spend this with my granddaughter. That was the thing that made that one of the low points. Was that it wasn't even the result, it was my dad's response to, I can be sitting with my granddaughter playing with her right now. That is the thing that was like, oh yeah.
I think I didn't care as much about the Newcastle one because I was on holiday at the time. I was watching the sports bar. So as soon as the fourth goal went in, I left the sports bar and it left my mind. But, like, looking back on it, it's like,
Sangria did flow.
Yeah. But no, fair enough. Yeah, split decision. We'll go with the Newcastle one as the worst moment. In terms of the most West Ham moment, now this was one we were speaking about in the group chat yesterday. A couple of funny ones in here. So we've got 3 to pick from. We've got the George Murphy injury after finally getting a debut after shouts of youth for about 10 years from Moyes. Arsenal away clean sheet, as we mentioned, with Ogbonna coming back in, and, you know, just the way we did it. And that's our only clean sheet away from home of the whole season. And then the Ben Rama red card away at Bristol City and what he did. And then that was the last we've ever seen of him. I mean, there's probably been more West Ham moments throughout this season, but those were the 3 that kind of stood out. What one are we picking, lads?
Oh, it's got to be George Murphy, isn't it? Like, begging and praying for youth to be included for, well, literally almost 2 years. We've been sitting here begging for these for young players to be used, and George Murphy, someone we've been calling out for a while. Lad gets on the pitch, has a couple of great little kind of cameo moments, and then he gets knocked spark out. And not only is he knocked spark out, it's knocked spark out by his own player, breaks his nose, goes to hospital. Yeah, could there be a more West Ham moment than that?
But
it just
and look, we're not trying to, you know, downplay the severity of it, because it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, and I think we were all at the stadium for it, and but I think when you have certain channels then attacking the manager after that, just heaps on how peak West Ham it was. Like, I think as well, because of the history we have as a club, and I know I said in the group chat the other night, but we've got such a history of asking for something for so long. And, you know, remember Dean Ashton, we were going, he's got to get in the England side. And what happened? Bloody Sean White-Phillips ends his entire career with a stray tackle on his first England, like, proper camp. And you think, oh God, like, it's so West Ham that it's unbelievable. But I think as well, it's just it's counteracted by him then coming on and scoring with what his first touch.
Yeah.
And I think that is what kind of it's the sweet and the sour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the fact he lasted about 3 minutes on the pitch before our own player took him off. But yeah, I think that one is probably clear, isn't it? I think that obviously the Arsenal away clean sheet is just funny. Like, it's the only one we've had this season in the Premier League, which is just funny. And then, yeah, obviously Ben Rama doing what he did against Bristol City. I mean, that was
I don't even want to talk about that.
No,
I don't talk about Ben Rama.
Yeah, exactly. But I am looking forward to the most West Ham moment of next season. Now it's got me ready for what's to come next season.
I just would love us just to have a season of no West Ham moments. At the moment, let's face it, the most West Ham moment is Paqueta and the whole betting thing. That is, I think we've already got our moment for next season. As it is, all gearing up to sell him for 85 million quid, and then the day we announce the new manager, he gets hit with 4 counts of spot betting and the potential that he's going to get like his career really over. Like, I think we already have the West Ham 2024-25 season.
And we probably won't sign a striker, will we?
No, exactly. Just the cherry on top of that lovely cake.
We could probably do one for most West Ham transfer moments, to be honest, because that deserves its own trophy. But yeah, I think we're in agreement. George Murphy, most West Ham moment, unfortunately, but luckily, like, we can laugh about it now because he's come on, he's got his goal, he's over it. But yeah, all right, let's move on to one that's a bit more traditional. Player of the season. There's a few options here. Again, anyone on here that stands out, you can mention. But Bowen, Kudus, Areola, are kind of the main 3 standouts of this season. Notable mentions to the likes of Ward-Prowse, who's had a good season. Emerson started the season well but dropped off. Alvarez as well. I think he's done well this season. Souček. Yeah. So, who would you guys pick as your player of the season?
I think the head says it should be Jarrod Bowen, right? Because of the goals, etc., and what he meant. However, I think based on what he's done in the first season, and he had to sit out the first few games, which now looks almost laughable. I know we got results, etc., but I think Mo Kudus was just such a revelation for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're such a poorer team without him that I have to give it to him. You mentioned about Alvarez; he's been phenomenal. Part of me wants to give it to him just for having the balls to have a massive go at David Moyes at halftime in the Chelsea game, because we were diabolical. And we've been diabolical for a while at that stage, and I just like the fact that he had the balls to properly lay in and go in for it. Emerson, first part of the season was incredible, as was Lucas Paqueta. But they both kind of went off the boil a bit towards the end of the season, which obviously many did. I think actually Mo probably came on stronger as the season went on, which Agreed. Is why I would probably go for Mo over Jarrod, even though Bowen was fantastic this year. There's no two ways about it. He was absolutely incredible, really, playing in an unfamiliar position for most of the year as centre forward.
Yeah, it's a tough one between those two. We'll decide on it in a sec, but I'm still pretty split because, as you say, Bowen has been outstanding. You know, he's got the goals. I think he joined with Di Canio for most Premier League goals ever for a player in a season. And yeah, he was also asked to play at striker, and I thought he did that very well as well when he had to. But Kudus as well, man. He's had to play on the right. He's had to play on the left. He's been the one that's been driving this team forwards when it's been shocking for the past few months. So as you say, I think he's got a lot stronger as the season's gone on. And people are starting to notice Kudus now a lot more, like other neutral fans. And I think with Kudus, it's a lot more noticeable what he's doing because Bowen's getting the goals. He's less impactful from deeper, but Kudus is the one that's kind of driving the team forwards. And I think the one thing that probably goes unnoticed in all these comps and stuff of Kudus is his work rate. I think he's the one that's working the hardest in that team. We saw it against Man City in a game that didn't matter. He was sprinting around the pitch for 95 minutes. He really was. He's put absolutely everything into this season.
Yes. When we were getting absolutely battered, and he was probably the only one who can hold his head up high. I think. Yeah, head says Jarrod Bowen, and I'm probably going to say Bowen just because it's been so long since we've had someone produce just as often as he has done. And I think Kudus has missed quite a few sitters that maybe cost us. That's very, very harsh. I know it's harsh, but I think if they fall to Bowen, I think he finishes them. But it's just a case of, I think Kudus has helped Bowen go to another level this season, and I can't wait to see him back next season.
There was a brilliant moment in the Man City game with Kudus, and where he's getting chased and harried by Rodri and Foden going into the right side, and he manages to stop, kind of pivot and cut back in, and then get away from both. And you see Phil Foden put his hands on his head, as if like, how has he got away from the two of us?
And the most impressive part of that was it was like the 90th minute, like 3-1 down, nothing to play for.
And that's the thing, right? When you've got a player that even kind of makes the opposition go, that's incredible. How's he done that? Which is brilliant. And I think we're probably someone we haven't talked about, and it's only fair we do that. Areola. Let's be honest, he's had a phenomenal season. Some of the saves he's made. If it hadn't been for him, as well as obviously I think the three that we've put in here, not been for those three in particular, and early season Paqueta, we would have been in a world of trouble this year.
Yeah. I think if our centre backs hadn't been running in mud for half the season, then I think it would have been fair that
I agree.
He'd be in with a shout, because you know that even we spoke about that Brighton win at 3-1, that could have easily been 3-3. Like that, he pulled out some incredible saves in that game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Even I can't remember. There was a game where he pulled off like 10 saves, and I think we still lost. But
hopefully his wife's watching. Hopefully his wife's watching. And like we're giving him some praise.
He's not won the award, but he deserves the mention.
No, exactly. He has made some phenomenal saves, and if it hadn't been for him, there are games this season we would not have won. Brighton, I am 100% convinced, had he not been in goal, we would not have won that game. We may have even ended up losing it, because he pulled out at least two absolute world-class saves, which arguably had no right in which to save. And so,
I
he
agree.
has been brilliant this year. So he does deserve an honourable mention.
Yeah, I think I am going to go Bowen. I think just because, you know, from someone that, you know, had a bit of a drop off last season, but then he had that moment in the final, and I think he kind of just kicked on from there. Obviously, Rice has left in the summer. He's kind of stepped up and been that main figure now this season, which isn't easy to do. And as you say, Kudus kind of came in a little bit later into the season, but Bowen's initial run at the beginning, I think he scored like 6 or 7 consecutive away games in the Premier League, which was, you know, that is a pretty impressive stat. So, yeah, Bowen edges it for me. So, yeah, I reckon it could be Kudus's next year if he stays. I think if he has a full season with no distraction of Europe, with just a Premier League focus, he'll smash it if we manage to keep hold of him. But yeah, let's move on to the very last award, which is again a little bit unorthodox, but most frustrating VAR moment. So the few that I've mentioned here, there might be some others if you've got some in your mind, but Sheffield United away, there were 2 in this game. One where VAR didn't overturn Areola getting punched in the face by McBurney for their penalty, and obviously the one where Bowen was wrestled to the floor. Freiburg away in the first leg where we're 1-0 down, and the handball in that game, I don't know if you guys remember it, in like the 95th minute, and then Aston Villa at home, like the 100th minute of the game, where the ball went over the line, and it took them about 7 minutes. I think it's the longest VAR in history in the Premier League. And it chalked off the late winner against Aston Villa. So those are the 3 that I had in my head. If there's any more, let me know. There probably is. But yeah, what one comes to mind for you guys?
I think the Freiburg one is baffling, because if you're just going by the European law, then it's hit his arm, like it's hit his arm, and it's that just means it's a foul. So it should be given. Like there's no grey area there. It should have been given. But I think it's got to be Sheffield United. It's just a shocker of multiple decisions. And even when you look at the Bowen foul after, you know, Ahmedhovic on him, that's a shocker for them to not give it. It's just ridiculous.
The biggest shocker as well is the explanation afterwards, trying to justify it as if Bowen was wrestling with him. It's like, so it's 5'8", whatever, 5'9" player is being able to out wrestle the 6'4" or 6'5" on Ahmedhovic.
It's one of those where, like, you know, Stephen Warnock and bloody so many match of the day pundits. If that's Mohamed Salah against him, they go, "Oh yeah, it's a clear penalty. It's a clear penalty." And yet every other club in the country who's not in the top four, if their striker gets that against them, they're going, "Oh well, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other," and it's nonsense. It's a clear penalty. It's a clear foul on Areola, and it's just disgraceful officiating.
I was going to say, I think the Areola one was worse, wasn't it? With getting punched in the face and then
it was never a foul in the first place. It's two players coming up and their hips coming together, as you would see in any aerial challenge. And then when you review and see, not only Areola's got a massive busted lip, but then you watch it and you see McBurney's arm flailing around and smashing him in the face, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? Did you put down the glasses at that point? Did you accidentally log into, you know, a different website? You know, you started something else to caught your fancy instead. Like, it's, you just look at it and go, how the hell have made that?
I mean, Areola had to come off as well, didn't he? Injured for the penalty.
He came off because his lip was completely busted up. Yeah, he had a massive fat swollen lip after he got everything.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the most frustrating. I think, to be honest, the Villa one, they got correct by the letter of the law, didn't they? As frustrating as it was in the, like, for how long it took, I think they did come to, like, technically the right decision.
The problem is with that one is there was an on-field decision. They watched it, and I think the problem is the interpretation of that rule also means that it could slightly not been given because of the fact it comes off of Bowen and goes in, as opposed to Kit coming directly off of Souček and then us scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the thing that was annoying when you saw the audio was, heard the audio and then saw it with the actual.
It was so bad.
Was how VAR was coaching the referee into a decision,
and
discussing intent of a player, like as if they're in their psyche.
But that speaks volumes about how the FA and the PGMOL are just they're so out of touch, and the whole attitude that they have, you know, even with this Lucas Paqueta situation, they think they're above everything.
There were two things from that VAR that I remember. It was, number one, there was one guy saying, "Oh, is he off? I think he's offside." And then there's like, "There's a player in the goal, mate. He's not offside." Like his assistant was saying that. And then the second thing was, like you mentioned, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna send him over to the monitor so he can make his own decision." As soon as he's looking at the monitor, there in his ear, like, "Here's the foul. This is what happened. This is the handball. Like, this is what's wrong with it. Like, let him make his own decision."
But why are they not doing that? Why are they not doing that with the Sheffield United one? You know, why is no one going, actually, you know what you need to do? You need to go and look at the screen because there's a clear foul on the goalkeeper. And you think,
we also said, isn't the whole point? They it was meant to be for clear and obvious, and then VAR has overstepped its bounds in that, oh no, we need to validate every goal. No, hang on. You said clear and obvious. So that incident with Souček, it obviously ultimately coming off Barron's head again, isn't a clear and obvious mistake, because in the confines of the game and what happened in that moment, it's not clear and it's not an obvious mistake. And the fact that you had to take so long to review it means it's not clear and obvious. It is.
I think it's the fact that it leads to a goal, so it leads directly to something that impacts the result.
The point was VAR was brought in to stop clear and obvious mistakes and not to validate every goal. Validate it from a point of view if you thought it was offside, but after that, there's nothing clear and obvious there, because when you're watching it for 7 minutes, you can think you have to then say, look, this isn't clear and obvious mistake. We're actually now trying to find a minuscule reason to stop a goal. There's a reason why the Wenger's looking to change the whole offside rule, is to influence attack and to improve, to give attack the.
Let's not even get started on that.
But that's the point, isn't it? It's no VAR had come in which to find reasons to discount goals as opposed to officiate the game, and also it's rather than being, this is what we think the problem is. you go to the screen and watch it, and allow the on-field referee who is in the stadium, who understands the context of the game as it's actually happening because they're in that moment, let them officiate.
Yeah.
Once you start officiating from a TV screen is where VAR becomes a huge problem, because you are overstepping your bounds, because you are clearly then just, all you're meant to be doing is going, you know what, mate, I think you might have missed something here. This is what I see. This is my interpretation. You go and watch it and then let us know if that's your interpretation. And I think that's the thing that annoyed me with the Villa one, was that he was coached into the decision.
Yeah.
That completely went against what he saw in that moment as an accidental incident and fall. And yeah, I think that's the case. And the Sheffield United one was just,
yeah, you can't top that. That was
it's the ultimate. Have you been to Specsavers moment, wasn't it? It was just like,
it was just even more. I think it was even more frustrating that they were down to 10 men as well at the stage. Like, we should have just been coasting in that game. But
Ahmedovich didn't even look at Bowen when he was doing that. He was just tackling him the entire time. And how you can turn around and go, oh, you know, but they were both wrestling. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, frustrating, but there we go. Those are our babbling end of season awards. So just to recap, we've gone with Arsenal away for the best win of the season. Worst moment of the season, we went for the 4-3 Newcastle capitulation. Most West Ham moment, obviously George Murphy injury. Player of the season, Bowen edges it over Kudus. And the most frustrating VAR moment, obviously, is that Sheffield United away right at the end of the game. So there we go. Those are our end of season awards. Looking forward to the next one next season and what sort of turmoil there's going to be throughout the year. Yeah, big summer ahead. Let's hopefully get it right in the transfer window. Lots of stuff going on. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we're doing lots of player breakdowns and scouts reports throughout the summer if you want to know about any potential transfers incoming as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below what your awards would be, any awards we could do next season that we didn't mention on here as well. That would be great. And yeah, lads, until the next one.
Come on, you Irons.